Good evening, and welcome back to Savannah by Night, our Vampire the Masquerade campaign. This is night 2 of the games on this channel. Last night was our reunion game for Game of Santos, but we return next Tuesday with our near finale, at least, of our Age of Myth game. However, in the meantime, tomorrow will be the next episode of our Age of Innovation game. We don't have Star Wars this week, but that will happen soon. I believe it's going to be at least once a month. Is that right, Martel?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And Dreamy, I believe you have some upcoming appearances.
Stay tuned to the Discord for an official start date, but coming this spring, you might see my face on Top Down Tabletop. Our friends over there pretty frequently.
Do we have any other announcements we'd like to get to?
Well, the Knights of Silver Moon YouTube channel. First of all, Knights of Silver Moon has a YouTube channel. You should go check it out. And second of all, we are currently uploading the VODs for Savannah by Night. We're submitting them 2 episodes per day. So by next week, they should be all caught up, so you can catch up on all of the story that is happening on Savannah by Night up until this point. So be sure to check it out.
And what would be really fun for me in particular is if you were to create a counter and a clip for every botch so far. Be mostly Sam, but
Wow.
We'll make it fair. We'll put all of the NOS botches into its own giant pile, and then the other 2 are going to be over here. At this point, it's a clan trait.
Yeah, really. Well, at this point, it's if you're near Lila or Chris, you are going to botch at some point.
well, let's find out if that remains true, shall we? As we dive into tonight and we tell a vampire story. Last time on Savannah by Night. Due to mounting evidence that her fellow Nosferatu were hopelessly out of their element behind the wheel, Lila brought Elli and Tabby to the racetrack in order to get some proper training from Cora. Under the supervision of Titus, she proceeded to educate both of her fellow neonates into becoming less of an automotive liability than they previously were, at least in theory. However, it was during this seemingly instructive interlude that Elli managed to plant a tracker on Cora's car. While there are some caveats as to how useful such a device can ultimately be, Elli nonetheless gained a potential starting point for accruing and mapping out data points on at least one of their fellow recent arrivals. Tabby managed to impress Lila just enough that the older Nosferatu began to show her a few things on Titus's project car, pointing out this and that, as if giving her an opportunity to learn rather than wallow further in embarrassment. Whether that trend continues is entirely up to Tabby. Artem, Chris, and Kate were requisitioned by the prince and brought to a more dilapidated part of town. An entire neighborhood that visibly had yet to recover from a hurricane that had swept through the county 2 years ago. A sad reminder of how people can often fall through the cracks. However, the trio arrived amid a volunteer effort that had been put together to work on the long road of cleaning out and rebuilding shattered homes and lives, seemingly all spearheaded by the prince. While it was obvious Chris was having a hard time in the presence of all that heartache, neither Artem nor Kate could suss out exactly why. But despite previous outbursts from her, somehow, the young gangrel was able to keep it together and channel whatever she was feeling into some constructive deconstruction. With new insights and appreciations gained, everyone filtered back to their respective havens for the day. But, as always, tomorrow is another night, and it has arrived. Kate, start of a new night. Please mark off a point of blood.
Gonna be 2 because I've got to go see some humans.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the reminder.
Of course. So, how are you starting your night?
As early as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing from experience what it's like, I am going to shoot them a quick text asking if they have any dietary restrictions or preferences. Restrictions or preferences.
Mm-hmm. You just get back, surprise me.
Okay. So, I'm going to head to the nearest, not like a Walmart level, but maybe like a Whole Foods. If I want to get nicer ingredients to bring to Sadie's, I'm gonna play it safe, get some pasta ingredients and a nice red wine.
Mm-hmm.
And then head to Sadie's for dinner. But also knowing I can't stay very long.
Or have dinner.
Or, yes. Well,
Mm.
we just...
A meal may be supped upon in
Yes.
one degree or another. But let's see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So you arrive with your bag of ingredients at this older townhouse that has both externally and internally begun to undergo some amount of renovation, but in a way that has preserved the historical aspects of it while rejuvenating it for a more modern sensibility. Do you knock on the door? Do you ring?
Yeah, I'll ring the doorbell.
Okay. You do already smell something as the door opens. Oh, hey. And they kiss you on the cheek.
I'll reciprocate.
But in the same motion, they're already taking one hand and bidding you inside. As they usher you into the kitchen, it's more a smell of a dessert. Some sort of tiramisu or adjacent thing being worked on.
So is this when I find out you're some, like, cooking savant?
I wouldn't say savant.
But you're also not saying it.
Well, and then they just go about continuing working what they were working on. What did you bring?
Well, it seems to match tiramisu. It's pasta.
Nice. What did you have in mind?
Oh, I thought you were supposed to do the cooking.
I thought you were bringing ideas and we were going to collaborate, as they're already taking things out of drawers and cabinets.
I think I'm ready to watch you work your magic.
Bit early in the evening for that, isn't it?
Well, unfortunately, I can't stay all night. I do have to work.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I work nights, so the schedule's a little erratic.
Where are you working?
Started at Veritas.
Oh, okay.
You seem surprised.
I guess I didn't picture you there, of all places.
Well, it's not all hired guards, and it's also not Paul Blart Mall Collapse, so
Oh, I guess there goes my movie recommendation for tonight, but all right. It's a classic, how dare.
I bet
Okay.
in your room there's not a Kevin James poster, so
It's more of a paper cutout on this. Never mind. Anywho,
I've also seen your ceiling.
in that room. Okay, so, and they start on whipping together whatever this is going to be, some sort of pasta adjacent sort of situation.
I'll take my first little nibble while they're cooking as like a, like a kiss on the neck while they're cooking.
Oh, of them. Okay.
Yes, of them. I can't have the pasta.
You you won't enjoy it. You'll have to expel later.
Mm-hmm. No, why suffer through that when there's more enjoyable nibbles as
I
Sadie's
see.
cooking?
So you want to take a little micro dose of Sadie.
Just like a one little dot.
Okay. I imagine it's they're working away, hands around the waist from behind,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of a suggestive nibble becomes a little bit more nibble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So because this is a small dose, we're just going to go with a 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as falling into an abyss type of ecstasy. They're still standing upright. I'm assuming there's a little bit of hand running through the hair, both as just enjoying the texture and making sure they stand upright,
Mm-hmm.
especially in front of the oven.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your at least one back now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mark that down. But I'm assuming that there's going to have to be other moves made,
Mm-hmm.
either from them in terms of getting a further meal, or to massage the facts about you not actually eating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a reminder to those watching and maybe playing, a large portion of VTM is mental manipulation, a bit of gaslighting, cognitive dissonance. So if these things get uncomfortable, that would be a time to maybe pause and take a break. I want to facilitate this.
It's easy to distract when you talk with your hands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I also do want to throw out, if anyone has struggled with an eating disorder, maybe skip the next minute because this type of manipulation could be too familiar. So I just want to put that out there as a warning. But yeah, moving things on the plate, talking with your hands a lot. And if necessary, if it looks like maybe there's some confusion and noticing Kate's plate, could dip into dominate.
Okay. Now, which power are you trying to use here?
I think Mesmerize should be able to do it. Maintaining eye contact. It's the second one.
Okay.
Maintaining eye contact and then planting an idea. So planting in the idea that they saw me eat. We've been eating together and enjoying this meal.
It is not useful for planting illusions or false memories.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah. So forgetful mind is where you're really looking at.
Okay. Yeah.
Mesmerize is more for planting a thought or a suggestion. Gotcha. And planting a command.
Mm-hmm.
And no, telling them to forget what just happened doesn't quite fit that bill.
Yeah, I've got enough for forgetful mind.
Okay. Now, you are going to have to roll, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it's wits plus subterfuge.
Subterfuge against the target's current willpower. This is going to be 4.
Two successes, no ones.
Okay.
So that should may remove but not alter memory permanently at 2 successes.
So we're gonna massage that a tiny bit.
Okay.
Just to make this a little simpler. Because if this was going against another kindred, I would maybe scale this a little bit differently. But going against a bog standard human, I would say that this is a little easier said than a little easier done. We're going to move the scale slightly here. What is it that you want them to believe about the current circumstances?
Just that we've enjoyed this meal together. Like, they've seen me eat.
Mm-hmm. There
hasn't been any like the plate was like stuff came off the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Just that this was a normal eating together.
And if there happens to be leftovers, it's just that you brought too much and they just made it all.
Mm-hmm.
A reminder that some of those facts can be done with a bit of cognitive dissonance, not just dominate.
Mm-hmm.
We have a powerful tendency to deceive ourselves. So lean into that. And I'm assuming, of course, that you're being judicious about how and when they're going to have a glass of wine if they're going to be sipping on them again. Which are you?
Yes. I'd like to try to take 2 more dots.
Okay. So you're going to go for a total of 3.
Mm-hmm.
That, especially if they've been drinking.
Mm-hmm. I'll just try to be the one to serve the wine and just do like a little bit with the meal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I have to go to work after this, so I also don't want to be buzzed.
Mm-hmm. Now, the benefit of being what you are is that it takes a little more alcohol to really kick you, but it is going through their bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to be sly about your timing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe as you're going to pour that first glass is when you go and steal it.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine during the course of this little dinner, there's been some mutual necking, although with different results. Both of you causing a little bit of eye fluttering, but for different reasons. But...
And I think to help Sadie lead into that cognitive dissonance, maybe help get rid of a little more wine in the bottle. So when there's that fuzzy feeling and that difficulty staying on their feet after having 3 points taken. or 3 dots taken, that it's easy to see how we drank a little more than we meant to, enjoying our time together.
Well, easy to pour 2 glasses and then surreptitiously do the old Sicilian switch. Along with the cognitive dissonance, keeps it going.
Mm-hmm.
And then pour out whatever's rest. So you manage to get through dinner, you get through the dessert through the same way. Eventually you do have to say your goodbye and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to leave things?
I'll leave with an actual kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And then a reminder that they have my number and can message me first.
There is a longer, lingering kiss at the door. Definitely trying to entice you to stay. What do you do?
And trying to get me fired on my 2nd week on the job.
Maybe.
Then I can do things like buy the ingredients for the cooking for the dinners.
Well, I don't see why you have to bring practicalities into this. That's not very fun.
It's kind of my thing.
Apparently.
Then while I'm here, I'm feeling a little bit less practical.
Well, I hate to be a bad influence.
I think you've been the best bad influence.
Well, tell all your friends.
I'm not going to share you.
I didn't say share. I meant gloat.
Ah, now that I might do.
There we go. On that note, I can let you go.
Night, Sadie.
Good night. Okay, so how were you dressed for your date? Because now you're going off to work.
I think Kate has gone with a kind of classic TV detective look in like a black button-up and black slacks. Has gone for the thicker soled boots per Rook's. You're wearing the wrong shoes to go shoot, kid. Let a couple of extra buttons unbuttoned for Sadie that are now getting buttoned back up on the drive to Veritas.
I see. Dress it up, dress it down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not a particularly long drive, but you are maybe at this point starting to become acclimated to driving over Talmadge Bridge. Gives you a little bit of time to appreciate the area from that vantage point as you go back and forth over it now. Seems only appropriate for a venture to have an elevated view. And as you descend back down to ground level, head into the building. Where do you go?
I'll make a stop at the front desk
Okay.
and ask if Rook's in.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Your name?
Fulton.
Fulton. Oh, new hire.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, one moment. And they start tapping away on something, and then they reach into a drawer, and they take out a lanyard with your security pass on it and your name. Here, this will get you into the places that you are cleared for. At the moment, it is not high access, as it's still orientation week for you. Speaking of which, you are down the hall at room 305. You'll be starting your orientation.
Thank you.
And we're
And
going to go
I'll-
with unnamed Mook
Unnamed.
number 17.
I'll just say thanks and then head down the hall.
Mhm. You enter what is a very small, there's a proper term for this, but in college where they have those sort of lecture hall things, but much, much smaller, meant for more a class of 30 or 40 rather than 100. But there's maybe about a good 15-ish, all kind of sparsely spread out. And they're not in uniform either. They are in different versions of kind of what you have, if not something at least similar. Notebooks are handed out.
Have I spotted anyone here at Elysium? I know I haven't been there
Just
much
do a little
yet.
scan of
But...
the room. Not that you can parse at the moment. And you were told when you were first brought here that unless you're having a conversation in those four walls upstairs with those particular people, assume you're always in mixed company in that building. All the old rules apply. So it's a good thing that you did the 2 points of blood and recouped. So we're not going to make you sit through all this as an actual whole scene.
Didn't type out the entire lecture?
No, I don't hate myself enough for that. Or the audience, or you, or Sam, or anyways, no one needs to sit through all that. I think we've all been in those kind of situations that we all know what that's like on one capacity or another. So what you get is a basic orientation, a walkthrough of sort of the manual for the security company, the expectations, the protocols. It's not telling you everywhere that you can possibly be doing security in the city, but they do give examples of which you've already seen on your little tour with Rook. And you already kind of know what sort of places all around town there are for this sort of thing, and you've gotten the impression that it's pretty much everywhere, and that it's well known, as illustrated by the fact that Sadie knew exactly what it was, without asking any further ups. So this goes on for a couple hours. There are some questions, but they're pretty light and expected, or just clarification on certain things that are already in the book. But I would gather you would pick up on these things quick enough that you're just either writing directly in the manual or making notes in the provided notebook that are, for your own sake, correcting the verbiage on something. But it's all pretty well expected. The next is you are approached by the sort of supervisor teacher. Yes, Fulton, was it? Rook left instructions. You're to continue your range exercise.
Certainly.
So, do you know how to get down there? Do you know how to set everything up? Good. A few of the classmates will be down there as well, so be mindful of other people, but you were especially told to make sure you're doing that tonight.
Understood.
I assume you have your firearm with you? Good. We'll be down there at some point, but We prefer some self-starters. Okay. I presume then you do head down there.
Mm-hmm.
And just so we get a little bit of a roll out of you, we're going to make this a little easy. We're not going to do 3. We're just going to do 2. And add... did you take anything in firearms yet?
Not yet. I would
Okay.
like for this second work through to happen before I let myself get that.
Okay, then we're going to do 3 rolls. And
Okay.
they are going to be at difficulty 7.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be spending any blood to add to your dexterity?
Am I just rolling dexterity?
Yep, that's all you'd be doing. The other part of this is, do you want to spend a willpower?
I haven't done that before. Remind me of that again.
If you spend a willpower before a roll,
Mm-hmm.
you will have an automatic success that cannot be taken away by any botches.
Mm-hmm. And that just counts for 1 roll?
It counts for 1 roll.
Okay. And you said you're going to make me do 3 for this?
Mm-hmm.
But if I spend a blood, it will last all 3 rolls?
It will last the entire scene.
Okay, let's spend blood instead of willpower. Actually,
You can do both.
yeah. When do you regain willpower?
We have a discussion at the end of not the session, but the evening.
Mm-hmm. You have to
And-
character earn it back,
Yes.
right? Okay.
You have to see if you've played into who your character is and if they've accomplished something.
Okay, I would like to spend a blood and go ahead and spend 1 willpower for this first roll.
Okay. So mark down your temporary willpower, not your
Mhm.
not your permanent.
Okay, that is 3 successes for this first one.
Okay. Nicely done. You're still
Um,
not you're not making clusters of kill shots, but you are getting a better grouping that is at least on the paper target of the man.
mhm.
You are
Considering I'm
consistently-
only rolling 3 dice, so
Yeah, you're doing okay. You're getting a little better from last time.
Mhm.
Now let's see if that continues.
You set it at 7, correct?
Yes.
Okay, no successes on the second roll.
Okay. Is that a botch?
No, I 1 canceled out a success.
Okay. So your grouping has spread back out again.
Hmm.
You maybe got a little too confident and you've lost your I know Isker could tell me what this is actually. Was it sightline?
I'm actually unsure what you're trying to intimate at this point.
I think I'm tired enough that I don't know anymore. But
Are you attempting to suggest that she fired at the wrong lane?
no, as in it's basically when you've
Or
been looking
sight
down the
picture?
sight picture. That's what I was looking for. Where you've kind of
I got
lost
you.
where you're looking down the sights and where you're actually aiming, and you've kind of swayed a little bit, or you've moved your head a little bit from it, so you've messed up your entire alignment.
Precisely.
So
Or
went
imprecisely,
wild.
I suppose.
yes, precisely imprecise. Thank you. You have 1 really good success and a failure, but at least not a botch. Let's see how the last one goes.
The last one went the same as the second. I let it rattle me.
Okay. Well, no one becomes a crack shot day 2 either. And maybe it's good to be a little humbled, to be reminded that you have some places to grow. A mountain to climb. And maybe it's a good thing that you're not insta-perfect at this. But chipping away at something, regardless of failure, is still progress. So if this is something that you want to spend the experience on, because you are investing time into this, it's becoming, at least for the time being, slightly central to what you're doing. It makes sense if you want to spend the experience on this.
I will at the end of the session.
Okay. So, you got a little rattled, but you're never someone that's going to allow a speed bump to deter you on your chosen road. It just means you have to buckle down and keep working. But you have no other expectations put on you for the rest of the evening. You were to do your orientation class, you were to do your range training, and you still have time.
Are there any missed messages on my phone?
Were you expecting any messages?
No, but just knowing that anyone could check in and ask for my services, being the newest of the new bloods for Ventru.
I'll give you for free that you're probably not going to be hearing, say, from Halsey, because this is where you're expected to be. In that way, he has a lot of sway over HR. He knows where you're going to be because he wants you there. Rook wouldn't be getting you out because you're expected to be there. Anything else, you'd have to be reaching out for.
Okay.
But as you put the weapon away, you, I believe, were told by Rook to start cleaning it, or... Okay. And I'm assuming Kate is smart enough that if she does not know how, she can find the resources online to do the teardowns, to know what supplies to get.
And he had showed me the last time as well.
Okay. Just making sure. So you can acquire that, you can sort yourself out, and that can be something else that you order if you haven't already. Actually, I'll say that when you put in for the gun safe and everything like that, that was probably part of the order as well.
Yeah.
Which, has that been 2 nights since then, or just 1?
Let me see.
That's okay. We don't have to linger on it. We'll just put that as that'll arrive the next night.
It's been 2 nights.
It has been 2 nights?
Because the night before was hurricane cleanup.
Okay. Remind me again towards the end of session, and we'll figure that out. But as you walk out from Veritas to your car, putting the firearm in, or already in its carrying case, and then in the car, what's your next step?
I think I'm going to head to Elysium.
Okay.
And see if anyone's there that's worth running into, and if not, that would be a good starting place to reach out and make some of these other calls.
Keeping in mind that for everyone in the city, they usually do their whatever they're going to do when they first get up, their initial tasks, things that are required of them, like feeding for one, before going to such meetings. You're probably well positioned time-wise to be running into people at Elysium. You're not missing out. You're only merely arriving probably around the same time other people are.
Perfect.
Is it okay if I pull the camera back from you for now? Okay. Artem.
Howdy.
Try that again in a Ukrainian accent.
Howdy.
Getting there.
One of these days.
So, you're waking up a little bit later than most. How are you starting your evening?
Well, going to look around, see what makes sense for me to work on today. And if Alden's around, I do have a question for him.
He'll be in the house. He is holding a piping hot mug. It has a little bit more of a spice smell to it today. But again, he seems to just be holding it, not sipping from it. Appreciating the warmth, the smell. And as he's perusing around the bottom floor. He seems to be taking stock of what's already been done, what still needs to be done. And he reaches down and he's petting Orion, who is parked up on its haunches, sort of sitting up to meet the hand. But it's sort of an absent-minded patting as he's looking around. Trying to maybe prioritize a little bit of where to put you, or maybe what's bothering him the most at the moment.
How's it looking so far?
Well, the room you started with is looking better at the start. Two places you should probably look at soon is the kitchen and the stairs. Stairs is going to be work.
What's wrong with the kitchen?
What's wrong with the rest of the house?
Okay. So nothing special, just worse there. All right. Can do stairs today. By the way, that car, if I'm going to be driving it around, would you mind showing me how to take care of it?
He pauses for a while, not quite looking at you as much as over your shoulder. There's a pensive drumming of slightly clawed fingertips on the, almost like a camping tin for a mug. Yeah, all right. He'll go and put the mug down in the kitchen. There's a further pause as he... You can't see the expression on his face because his back is turned to you, but you see this rise and fall of shoulders. And he will lead you out of the house towards the barn where the car is parked. He'll undo the rusted chain lock on the door, wave you in. He'll leave the door open. And he'll point you to a toolbox that's, compared to a lot of other things in the house, it's in pretty good condition.
Fairly modern.
Fairly modern. But it's not just that it's modern, but it's in good condition.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a bit of weathering to it, but it's not rusted.
Car is also in pretty good condition, yeah.
Very good condition.
Mm-hmm.
And as he opens the driver's side door, after you have given him the key, he'll reach in and he'll stop for a second, pull back, and he'll point to you to pop the trunk or the hood.
Mm-hmm. I'll do that. I assume I know how to do that.
I'd say that kind of thing is pretty universal, especially on an older car. You might, that's part of the pictogram thing where a lot of that is meant to be easily translatable.
Mm.
So you find that pretty easy when you get out of the car to go and look at it, and he's taking the rod to prop up the hood. You see that that's also in very good condition. Not showroom floor pristine, but very, very good. It could be better, but it's good. Considering the fact that it's been sitting in a barn for, you're not entirely sure how long.
Yeah.
It's pretty good looking. All right, I don't know what your situation was, but do you own a car back there?
Uh, would he have? I guess probably. Yeah, I did.
Mhm. I'm picturing like a hand-me-down Lada.
Oh yeah, yeah. It wasn't too
For
great of one.
anyone in the audience that does not know what a Lada is, do you remember when you were a kid and you draw like a box as a car? That's a Lada. That is exactly what it looks like. I was shocked when I saw one of those in real life and when I knew I drew this. That's a core memory for me. So you're looking down at this charger.
Mhm.
You, uh, it's not going to be mapped out exactly how you would remember any car you've ever owned or driven, but you at least recognize what things are. It
Mhm.
does help that this is not an incredibly modern car. This is an older Charger, but a nice one.
Mhm.
He does start pointing out the obvious things like where wiper fluid is, where the carburetor is, like all the essential bits and pieces. And he's not asking if you know what a carburetor is. He's just going, "That's where it is."
Mhm.
And do you stop and ever ask him any questions?
Um, no, probably not. I think Artem's got
Mm-hmm.
basic mechanical knowledge of how cars work.
Mm-hmm.
Just needs
Maybe
some
not
more
enough to
like
be a mechanic, but enough to
no,
at
no.
least, you know, he can change the
Yeah,
wiper fluid, but he wouldn't know how to change the spark plugs.
right.
That's a
And this is
fairly involved
also
process if you don't know what
yeah.
you're doing.
And this is also like not only is it much nicer than he's used to,
Mm-hmm.
he's much more interested in taking care of it than he
Mm-hmm.
was his old shitty
Yeah.
car.
Maintenance is easier than, being a mechanic.
Mhm.
But in order to do it real justice, you'd have to either get a lot better or take it to someone that knows what they're doing.
Mhm. I do know a guy.
Mm. So as he's walking you through this, do you have any other questions outside of the car?
Yeah. At some point, probably reach like a lull,
Mm-hmm.
and Artem takes the opportunity to ask, so, do you know Zoya? Have you met her or you just heard of her?
Mm. Met her a long time ago. Probably not too many living gangrel that have.
She doesn't seem to like visitors.
No, no, she wouldn't. I take it she still considers that forest hers.
Oh, yeah. No matter how many wolves are running around in it.
Hmm. Last I knew, and again, this is very old information, they definitely came and went. Sometimes generations in between there being a pack there. Sometimes generations of them. But the one constant was her. A force of nature unto herself. Sound about accurate.
Yeah. A guy. I didn't know what the Sabbat was. Someone told me. I was like worshipping vampires. I could maybe see people worshipping her.
Hmm. Fundamental misunderstanding of what the Sabbat is.
Hmm.
Some of them, sure. Worship might be part of it. But what it is, really, and you get right down to it, it's not about being worshipped. It's about putting their boot down on someone's neck and calling them cattle. That's what they really want. Worship is more just the icing on an ignorant cake.
How does a group like that live?
The real secret of the Sabbat isn't the flagrant notion of ruling over others. That's certainly part of it. But if they really wanted to live out in the open as filthy, disturbed creatures ruling over mankind, they would have done it. But they can't, because even they know the masquerade has a point.
Yeah.
That's the propaganda they give the lower ranks, a way of mustering, rallying.
Hmm.
The upper ranks of the Sabbat are another political faction, just far more monstrous about it.
Zoya didn't teach me much about politics.
No, I imagine she wouldn't. She's from a time from before when the factions even existed. When all of us were just individual petty fiefdoms. No Camarilla, no Anarchs, no Sabbat.
She's maintained her fief.
She wouldn't call it that, but yes. She would just probably say hers.
Mhm.
I would ask how she looked when you left, but
Not happy.
sounds about right.
We I guess made her vulnerable in a way. The way that she usually isn't. Are there others like us of hers still around?
That I couldn't tell you. And she had others, but left long before I met her. And it's been a long time since I've seen her.
Is it rude to ask how long?
I've been here 160 years. That's a large window. Is that all you wanted to ask?
Are there stories about her?
There's always stories. Are any of them true?
Hmm.
I'm sure there are little fairy tales, the villages that surround her forest, that are in some ways attributed to her, but morphed over the centuries, so they no longer resemble any semblance of truth if they ever did. Maybe that's exactly what she wants. Maybe she just doesn't care.
Hard to tell.
Well, you spent time with her.
Yeah, I did. I would say she probably didn't care, but I don't know. We're a lot more social than I would have guessed from just knowing her. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
She didn't seem to want to interact with other vampires. This is speculation, but I almost
Don't
got
use
the
that word.
sense. No? Okay.
Kindred. You're in society now.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's word. Okay, sure. Anyway, I almost thought she preferred the wolves for one reason or another. Maybe it was because they kept others away.
I'm sure there's a certain amount of symbiosis involved.
There was.
But they were not mundane. In some ways closer to what she is, when everything else is not us, not her. Everything outside the forest doesn't matter. For many elder gangrel, especially the older they get, solitude tends to be a preference. And as he says that, he's very carefully running not his fingers, but sort of the upper pads of his palm along the top of the car. And he's no longer looking at you. Very intentionally keeping the pointed talon tips off the metal.
Well, thanks for telling me that.
Figure out what you need for the stairs. Get started, and then get out of here for the night.
Sure.
He gives one more look to the car and goes, "Nice to see the old girl run." I'll give that little tap and he starts to walk away.
Well, I guess I'll go back in. I'll do a little survey, see what I think I'm going to need, put
Mhm.
together a list of stuff.
Just to make that part quicker, you're
Yeah,
gonna
you
have
just want
to.
me to roll something?
I don't know what I would have you roll. That's the problem. Uh, what did you take anything in craft?
Yeah. Craft home renovation.
Okay. I'm gonna have you do that and intelligence.
Okay.
Just straight difficulty of 6.
So good sign.
How many dots do you have in craft?
I have 2 in craft.
Okay.
10 and hey, 4.
How many?
4 successes.
Nice. Okay. So, having walked up and down it at least a couple of times and passed by it, you've started to notice where the creaks are, how some of them are just the natural creaking of a house, but some of them just are rotted and need to go, or at least they're starting to.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever they are resting on has started to rot. So you know you're going to have to take off a lot of them, pretty much every step, and really take it down to the uh, like base structure to really see the full extent of how bad it is and what needs to be replaced, or if you're going to have to start all over again. The good news is that there's enough of the original uh, pieces that you could repurpose them into different parts, either through refinishing or parceling them off to make the start of another step. The banister itself is more or less in good condition. It just needs to be refinished. But some of the support spokes, I don't really know what the right term is for that, needs to be just removed and started all over again.
Mm-hmm.
You probably wouldn't know how to uh there's a word for that. No, whittling, lathing on that's a very particular skill.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably find someone that
Oh
can do
yeah,
that.
those are easy to buy. Also, yeah.
So you could probably go and find something that's very similar and just order a bunch, go into a hardware store,
Mm-hmm.
or take them to an artisan of some kind and go like, hey, I need a bunch of these to look like this in these dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a pretty good list of how you're going to start, what you're going to do, what needs to be farmed out to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to install them, I would say. You just don't know how to actually make them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never an expectation that you'd be, building these or the entire house from scratch. That's not your job.
Yeah.
Your job is just to do the work. And the work sometimes is going, I can do this, I can do that, I can get this made, and I can install it. So as long as you are also being cost effective about it, like you're not just sourcing out everything, it's just, I can't do that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in the clear, in his view. And I would say you're probably telling him what needs to be done. And he can give you a couple of ideas to at least where to source some things, like for the spokes,
Mm-hmm.
where you could take that to somebody.
Cool. Well, I think he'll have all that written down. Of course, he'll take a picture of the before so that we have, or a couple of pictures just so that we know what it looked like, we know what we're trying to like make it look like. And
Got your reference pictures and your before sections. So, okay. No, that's good. You're sorted. you probably, I imagine there was a sorry boss moment as you had to start ripping apart the drywall, either with your hands or with a sledgehammer next to the stairs to start looking at the real underlying issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you're finding some issues, but at least you know they're there, that you can start working with that. It's not happy, but it's, well, we know it's there.
Yeah.
Now we can deal with it and move on.
Hey, man, you said the stairs.
Yeah. No, he's not grumpy about it, or at least he's not grumpy at you about it.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it just goes, all right, why don't you get out of the house? I'm going to start ripping apart walls.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a good place for you to head on out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see if Chris wants to go as well.
Where are you trying to go?
Probably going to go to. He doesn't have a lot of destinations, so I think he's just going to go to Elysium.
Okay. I'm assuming you go up the stairs, or you told her to come down the stairs before you started ripping at them.
Yes, I may have enticed her down with a sledgehammer.
That would do it. I imagine the words emotional support sledgehammer may have been uttered. And that got her to come down and help. She probably went after a couple more walls that were not intended.
Hey.
I'm getting ahead of the task. It's fine.
No, we don't get ahead of the task with the sledgehammer.
I imagine that's when Alden kind of just leans in the frame from the kitchen. I'm going out. And it's moments later that you hear a truck peel out. So you're left with Chris. How do you try to entice her?
All right. Do that one, and then
smash.
I'm gonna get out of
There's
here.
no hesitation.
You want to go to the big house?
She looks down and she's covered in just powdered drywall, and
we can change first.
Is there anyone we know gonna be there?
I could check.
Okay. Anyone that we like.
I can check that too.
Hold on a sec. She takes out her phone. And she goes to the all girls group chat. Heading to the house, bringing cake.
Sorry, I missed that. Bringing what?
Bringing cake. And it's just a zoomed in picture. It's zoomed in, cropped of Artem's backside.
That's a good picture.
At this point, am I already on my way there? I don't know how the timeline would.
We're gonna say that this is as you're getting into the parking lot of Veritas to head back out.
I'll write back. Well, I was gonna, but now it's questionable.
But I already had tiramisu. No, I'll say that we can probably leave it there, Artem.
Yeah.
You've enticed her successfully to leave the house. Sledgehammer was a good way. It's a perfect way to a girl's heart, but that's not a very good wording. I regret that one.
And clip.
Yeah. So we're going to check in with Elli. Oh, before I forget, Artem, did you remove your dotted blood for the night?
I did. Yeah, so I'm at -2 right now.
Okay.
And is Elysium... I should probably go -3 for Elysium, huh?
You could. That's a choice. It's not
Yeah.
expressly required.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay. So, Ellie, same thing. Now, you don't have to worry about your complexion, but having your blood sorted for tonight is still important.
Yep. My complexion is always perfect, so never have to worry about it.
Well, we'll agree that that was the thing that you said.
But yes, I am missing 4 from my
Okay.
blood pool with tonight.
You're getting a little peckish, but you can get by.
Yeah.
So how do you want to start your evening?
Well, I do want to um figure out some options on making uh the van into more what I want to uh use it for,
Mhm.
which is being kind of like a mobile surveillance unit. And so things I want to know is kind of what tools do I need, what can be bought, what needs to be borrowed, that type
Mhm.
of inventory.
Okay. Now, I imagine on TrekNet, one of the many pinned posts in one of the many subforums is exactly this scenario.
Yeah. I want to look up the options that were not, you don't go like 2 months later. It's like, how do I get a new car because mine just exploded from
Mhm.
trying to make it into surveillance
Yeah.
van?
Yeah, this is more like it's a sticky post because it's been useful,
Yes.
not just as a don't do what this guy did. It ended real hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more modular. It's not necessarily like this is exactly what I did from start to finish. It's more a case of I wanted to do this, so these were my list of modular options. You
Did
can
it
get like almost like if you want to get, say, like, a satellite dish or something, you're getting 15 different referral link kind of things of different ones that are okay from good to bad, what you can actually source. These are where you can
Yeah.
steal them from,
Yeah. And
that kind
also
of thing.
like and also probably getting like a satellite dish that's like, oh, I can put it on top and then stow it so that no one, I don't just drive
Mhm,
around, people see a big van with a
mhm.
satellite dish on it.
Yeah, it's more a case of that's not necessarily something you should lead with,
Yeah,
but in certain
exactly.
instances where you're trying to blend in, say, to like a news
Yeah.
scrum around like a burning building or something where there's like 15 news vans,
Yeah.
you can kind of blend in with that. Assuming your van doesn't look like, well, yours.
Well, okay. I just had to bring that into play.
I did.
Um I suppose, well, so in that case, I do want to think about like making sure that whatever I look up is also relevant to the car I have, because I don't know how many of these are people taking like more advanced models
Mhm.
and upgrading them. And I think in
A
that case,
lot of it is actually pertains to you because
oh
they're
great.
not taking some modern luxury car. It's repurposing older stuff or things that people aren't going to be looking at.
Yeah.
Things that are inherently, well, kind of like Nosferatu. They're not
Hmm.
necessarily lookers, but they are all of them useful
Hmm.
if applied in the right way.
So in that case, the other thing um that Ellie would like to do is kind of, well, there's the concept of if there's things that need to be bought, just making sure I have the funds for it. If not, then tonight will be double duty of getting funds and getting food. And also probably my shopping spree with Cora might be doubled because I may get some recommendations on how to make this look like not a rundown car.
Well, that might be a project unto itself, but gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You'll see actually some, obfuscated before and after pictures of what some of their vans looked like, and they were just absolute ramshackle wrecks that looked like they fished them out of a quarry, but by the time that they were done, they weren't necessarily sleek spy van kind of things, but they were in good condition. They were modernized in such a way that they blended right in, and no one would pay any attention to them. There's ways of, if you just are persistent and creative and patient and a little thrifty, and by that I mean stealing, you can soup this thing up how you like it. It's just going to be a multi-pronged project to do it. It's a goal.
Yeah.
So you want to have some, of course, help with this. Maybe not all the things that you want to do with it, but at least some of the underlying aspects just to get this thing to be a functioning van.
Yeah, I mean, it's more that like, oh, this is the thing. I don't remember if I had I don't recall if I had asked this before. Do I know which clan the Titus is in?
You had been to Elysium before, right?
Yeah, I was
because you've been here for a few months. Yeah. So you have at least a couple of guesses.
Okay.
It's a pretty narrow spectrum.
Yeah.
You might not have had like a proper face-to-face introduction before, but there might be a little bit of reputation.
Okay.
You can probably guess.
Okay. But yeah, I want to I would like to I mean, the main thing is the tires, because Cora will know that better. And also just like, so I don't go into asking a body shop and looking like a complete idiot. Just knowing what to ask for.
Okay. But how are you going to facilitate that? What's your step?
Oh, well, the good news is I do have Cora's number via Tabby. And so
I'd actually forgotten about that.
yeah.
Tabby, we love you. You are the weakest link.
I didn't want I may go offline. We may do a thing, because I feel like one of Ellie's first thing will just be to ask Tabby for everyone's numbers. But I will let Tara decide that next time Tara is on, if Tabby agrees to that. But we did do last week, we did verify that Ellie has Cora's number at least.
So do you want to put that to the test?
Sure, let's go for it. No sense in hiding it. I'll just text Cora. It's like, hey, it's Ellie. Tabby gave me your number since I missed getting it last night. Do you have time to get some new tires for my what could be called a ride.
I guess it takes her a while to respond. Sorry, something was blocking my mute button.
If we want, you can rewind a little bit, and you can tell us how your night has started, and then we can catch the two of you up.
Sure. Well, getting interrupted again. My apologies. So, Cora, when she awakens in the cottage on the grounds of Elysium, takes a moment to go to the mirror and look into it and to sort herself. She pauses for just a second. Things have been going well here, but as she looks at herself, she sees those permanent circles under her eyes, a reminder of the condition she was in when she became who she is. And expecting that she may get a call tonight, she makes sure that she's ready to go. She does the things that she needs to do to pack up the few things that she'd taken out of her bag, being used to this sort of routine and putting them back in just the right place. Takes her luggage down to her car, pops the trunk, sets it inside. She doesn't know for certain that tonight will be the night, but you never know. She'll shut that. Thanks, Bella.
So, as you're
Look
getting
at the night
sorted,
air.
as you're getting sorted, you do actually have a few texts waiting for you.
I do. Perfect.
You'll get one from Titus, and it just says, "Was nice to hang out with another petrolhead."
The feeling's mutual.
We'll have to set up proper race at some point.
Think you can keep up?
And you just get back this, oh shit, she's got jokes.
And then I'll answer more seriously there and say, I love that. Let's keep in touch about it.
I look forward to it. Next one would be Edward.
Right.
And it's Lila told me about your little exchange. Should be done by the end of the night.
All right. See you toward the end of the night. Thanks.
And remind me again, what was the last text you sent, Heinrich?
The exact wording. I may have to go back and look.
That's okay.
I know I said that I miss you.
You get back in German, 'cause I'm assuming that's how you've been communicating.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm. I've been missing you too.
Hmm.
It's in that typical German no perfunctory extravagance. It's just acknowledge and express with no ambiguity in between.
Since he, I'm sure, has some notion of what's up with Cora to a
Mhm.
degree, she will say, um, and given in our last exchange, he talked about almost deciding to go skating and deciding it wasn't worth it.
Mhm.
That I do hope you decide to go skating at the rink again. I did recently. Still just as nice.
Given the, was it 7, 8 hour time difference?
Mm-hmm.
It might be a little hard to get a response right this minute.
No worries.
You do
I'm
see the
sure
three
if he's
dots.
still up, he's busy.
You do see the three dots. They go away. They come back. And then nothing.
Fine.
Another 10 minutes goes by and it does come. I think it's lost its meaning for me at the moment.
No.
Let me know your address when you figured it out. I'll send you some of that coffee I found.
That I can do. And stay safe out there.
You as well. So, I assume you took off 1 point for your daily, or I guess nightly, for your blood.
I have not taken off a point yet.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder. Point
Sorry for anyone
removed.
that could hear the snow plows, but it's been a cataclysm where I am. Okay. And at this point, you get a fourth series of texts. Now from Ellie.
Excellent.
And it was about helping out with a van, correct?
Specifically going tire shopping, as was previously discussed.
Okay.
I'll have to keep a watch on my schedule, but I should be able to. Meet you over here, or
Where's here?
the big house?
Oh. Yes, I can pick you up there.
should make sure I have my own ride.
Sounds good. I will meet you at Elysium then.
You wouldn't say that in
I
text.
wouldn't say that cottage.
All right.
Most people just say Wormslow or the house.
Yeah.
Like capitalize the house.
Yeah. I'll meet you at the house.
Okay. Now, with Cora heading over there, do you need to make any pit stops yourself, Ellie, before you head there?
Because Ellie and Smoggles are both likely a little paranoid,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see if a missing blue Honda Odyssey has been reported and or found.
While you're going to look up that, I did forget another text that Cora would have gotten.
Uh-huh.
It's a group text, and it's just a zoomed in, blurry picture of our friendly neighborhood Ukrainian Sasquatch.
I was gonna say, Cora running with the Artem is a cryptid theme of the previous exchange. She'll just say another sighting exclamation point and then like the peach emoji.
If Sam could be so kind as to at some point put the meme that someone made in our private Discord up for the screen, that would be fantabulous.
I think we can thank viewer Ink Finale for this.
Which, yes.
Just
Take a
incredible,
second.
incredible work.
Mm.
There it is. It's gonna take me a second, but I'll be able to get it.
Okay. Doesn't have to be right this second, but thank you. As you're working on that, do you need to stop for a little light snack? We'll answer your
Well-
question about the Honda Odyssey in a second, but the other practicalities.
So so interestingly enough, it is slightly related.
Mm-hmm.
Because a thought of mine was that if the owner has not yet figured out where their Odyssey is, I could theoretically use that as a ransom opportunity. Like, pay this amount of money, I'll send you the coordinates on where your stolen van is.
That's
Or
not
meet me at
bad.
this thing. Yeah.
Though I imagine the hellacious shit show that you left it in drew some attention. You didn't just ditch it in an alley or a quarry. You rammed it into another neighborhood and then just scarpered. There was noise. It's a safe bet that people have found it. It's been reported.
Got it. Okay.
That's what happens when you botch.
No, that's valid. In that case, I may handle getting a snack after we go shopping.
Okay. So you just want to race out to meet Cora.
Yeah, or I mean, I could find one of the contacts I have some dirt on and schedule a time so they have some time to get the money that they need.
Okay. So you want to set that up and then you can meet up with that person later? Okay. We'll gloss over that for now, and we'll return to it a little later.
Got it.
But
And
yes,
I do this just one more second, and I will have our full body image of
some cryptid cake on screen about to happen.
I mean, you tell me.
So good.
Oh wait, I should probably make it what Chris had actually sent, shouldn't I? So that's
Yeah,
gonna
this is
be
what Chris
doing
sent the
all
other
of-
night.
Enhance.
This
Yeah.
it'll be this, and then zoo, and then zoo. There you go. That's what Chris sent.
Just a close up of them jorts. Delightful. And I think on that hurt note, we'll go to break and we'll pick up with Elysium a little bit afterwards. See you soon, folks. Welcome back to Savannah by Night. We rejoin our kindred as some of them are beginning to filter into Wormslow, Savannah's Elysium. Speaking of which, Cora, you have time to park in the parking lot in front of Elysium. There's not many cars there at the moment.
Good.
For you, this is the start of the night, so you're a little bit early in comparison to everyone else right now, but
Advantage of living so close by is I get the early parking.
there you go. Do you wait in the parking lot or do you head in for a little bit?
I'll probably head in for a little while. I am. Well, it's maybe a little premature, but I do want to at least make sure that I thank Liv for the hibiscus.
So you send her a text, or are you hoping to run into her physically?
If I see her around.
Okay.
I think my plan will be, if I see her, I'll tell her in person. And if by the end of the night I haven't seen her, I'll send her a text.
Okay. You head in. Do you try to tell Bruno anything in Italian this time, or are you letting that one go?
I think I'm likely satisfied at this point. I'd love to have some funny little jib to carry on the gag, but the player doesn't tonight, so unfortunately Cora also lacks it currently.
That's okay. He gives you a polite nod as you walk by, as I believe you're one of the ones that have continuously been acknowledging him as you walk by, or you're not treating him just as furniture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will at least say, it's a nice night.
Evening. So you head on in. It's, as expected, very, very quiet. Likely that the cars that are there, and they aren't close to the door, which is usually something that staff does. So you get the impression that it's more staff in the building than guests. At least this early in the evening. But as your shoes click on the polished floors, it dawns on you how empty the house is right this minute. It dawns on you that when people don't have to breathe, there's a subtle layer of infrasound and a house that is missing. Some do breathe, but not all.
That's very interesting. Does Cora want to be a little rule breaker again to keep herself interested?
What are you doing?
The fun things. Senses are a little higher.
Mhm.
And let's just look at some of the staff. Like,
Okay.
let's look at their auras. I'm curious. Why
Mm.
not?
I'll
Cora always just likes to kind of probe and test herself. So why
Okay.
not?
Now with rolling aura,
Mm-hmm.
what do you have to roll?
Let me get to that page. I wasn't expecting to do this, but I like it, so.
So I'm going to give you something for free that you were going to be attempting this maybe before you walked in. So if you want to try this on Bruno first.
Oh, I'd love that. Let's do it.
Character stares at a subject for at least a few seconds. Player rolls perception, empathy, difficulty 8.
Okay.
I'm going to roll that down to a 6 because that makes more sense for me right now.
All right, sounds good.
If you want to do a sort of like scan roll where you're only going to get one bit of information,
Right.
you can do that once you're inside. But you
Okay,
have to
so
do
yeah.
it while there's a group of people inside. You can't just go into the middle of the building, do a blank, and then carry that on for the scene.
I'll do a
like a
Bruno
flash ping.
focus and then do like a sonar ping.
Okay. So you want to do the
Inside.
specific one? Okay.
Yeah. Mm. This is really good.
Not a botch. That's good.
No, it's quite positive. I actually have to re-roll twice for a couple super dupers.
Just dunking on some of the others. I see how it is.
I think it's these blood-filled dice that really do it. When you've got actual human vitae in a dice, like it kind of increases the potency or something.
I'm not saying we should link those to the Etsy store where you got them, but it might help throw off the law.
Right.
Just for legal purposes.
Indeed, yeah. So that didn't bear any additional fruit,
Okay.
but I still nevertheless have 4 successes.
4. Okay. So at 4, very good. So with 1, you'd only be able to see the shade, pale or bright. That's where you get some basic information. But at 4, you can detect subtle shifts, main color, and patterns, if there are any.
Interesting.
So, on Bruno, because you were doing this as you were passing by, part of your greeting, you weren't trying to pull a game in Italian because you were focused on this, maybe.
Absolutely.
And you don't know, well, I don't remember where you got the idea that aura perception is probably one of those things that would skate by the no discipline use in Elysium. Assuming you don't mess up and let anyone know that you've done that. If someone hasn't been introduced to you as one thing or another, you just go up to them because you scanned them and let know, you're going to start causing questions. So just something to be mindful of in the future.
Gotcha.
So what you get of him is light blue.
Pretty.
which is the color for calm. You would get, which is the main one. Everything else is going to be sort of slight swirls and rivulets of other things, but that is the main thing. There is a slight paleness,
Okay.
which you've seen what other kindred look like, and you know that
Yeah.
there's a much more pale hue. It's less vibrant. But with him, it's still vibrant, just slightly dimmed.
I wonder if maybe he's a ghoul.
Mhm. You also get a few rivulets of dark blue.
Kind of tilt my head a little at those eddies.
For you, and you might not know this on an instinctive level just yet, but this is suspicious. It is his job to maintain the door. It is scrutinizing everyone and everything that passes by. But calmly.
Would I perhaps be able to draw a connection that does my lingering there over time do anything to that blue? And she
How long
wouldn't
do you
be able
linger?
to know.
How long do you linger?
Oh, goodness.
Because if you're just sort of passing by, that's very, very
Yeah.
quick. But if you saying hello, beat, 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 and then passing by?
I think there's that little exchange of, it's a nice evening, and he nods. And I think there's a bit of a slightly awkward length of staying there. Not like a super extended time, like what the hell are you doing extended time, but like a few extra seconds that feels like maybe someone in a dialogue tree in a game maybe just taking a little bit of extra time to choose between their two favorite options.
Okay. I'd say for a moment, they don't switch places, the dark and the light blue. But the dark blue sort of rivulets widen like a millimeter, which because there's many of them, that slight widening just becomes a little more noticeable. And because you can detect subtle shifts with that many rolls, that's how you're seeing this. But they narrow back down to where they were before. It's the sort of, you did your scan, he did his kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Neat. I get that Cora probably doesn't fully understand what she just saw, but I like that maybe she's starting to learn.
Okay. So now you're going inside and you're looking for people. Okay. You do hear a few footfalls sort of echoing. More distant of things being moved. Very hushed, quiet voices. Or maybe the distance makes them quiet. But there is no one in your immediate vicinity. So if you want to do a wide sonar ping, you're going to have to go and find some people.
All right, then. Well, if everyone's a little distant, I'll explore toward the sound.
Okay. You find Atherton in the main room, where your first true debut into Savannah society took place.
Is he...
Go ahead.
What's he engaged in right now? Anything? Is he kind of just...
He is standing with another man and more of a stark expression on his face. and darker hair. A bit of facial hair. And the two of them seem to be discussing where certain not celebrations, but decorations, where they go, where they should be going.
Interesting.
It's not
okay.
heated, but there's a certain amount of two competing views of exacting. It's staying
I get-
cordial.
Do I get the notion that these are decorations for a particular type of event, or is it just like a refresh of the space more generally? Am I able to garner that?
It's hard to tell, but it does lean more towards just a refresh rather than any specific event.
Gotcha.
When you came in here, it was fairly pristine. There weren't a lot of decorations. It's more just slight embellishments.
Nice.
So you think things like flowers rather than little festive banners or anything like that. It's more just little bits of set dressing. So it's changing a color scheme, or where does that color scheme sort of change? Much like when looking at an aura, it's about the tapestry of colors and where they're placed, not just what colors are involved. Placement and ratio matters.
I think Cora sort of enjoys hearing these two guys having a healthy disagreement about these sort of precise details. I think that probably feels a little familiar to her. And just some of the discussions that she would hear walking down the hallway a long time ago.
Do you approach or do you leave them to it? I will say, while they're sort of pointing at one thing to direct someone to be moving, a pot of flowers or a curtain or something, they're both sort of going, no, do this, no, do that, go lower, higher. Like they're giving their competing visions a little bit. So there's people responding to their competing neuroses about how to put this together.
Part of me wants to have Cora walk up and say, offer, do you need a third opinion to break the tie? But I think, as fun as that might be, I'll probably leave them to it.
Okay. Did you want to try your wide ping while you're there?
Sure.
Okay.
There's folks, slightly shifting the painting to the left, then why not?
Okay. Same roll, but the information you get is going to be okay. If you want to find, like, if there's any kindred, or if you want to look for ghouls, you basically have to tell me now that that's what you're looking for.
Okay.
So you're not going to get, say, what you got with Bruno, where you got like emotion. It's, I just want to find what's going to ping for this. So if you're trying to look for ghouls, you'll find potentially that if you roll well enough, but you won't get kindred.
Sure, I can use process of elimination then. Let's see who's ghouls around here.
Okay. So, I'm going to do the same roll.
I wound up with just 2 successes this time.
Okay. 2's enough to get by on. You get some indistinct colors, almost like the white noise, but it's in your mind, you get a slight distant, burnt out Christmas light. A few people in the room.
Okay.
Not Atherton and the person he's talking with. That's almost for a few moments. It is everything else is in relief. Anything that doesn't match what you're looking for seems to lose all coherency as it becomes part of the void.
Amazing. It's fascinating, really.
And you just see a few pinpricks of light. Presumably the people that are being directed. You don't get any other information like, who they would be ghouled to or anything like that.
Right.
But you obviously are getting the idea that clearly these are people that are in some level of the know. Rather officially. How much they know is a different matter entirely.
Are there any of the staff that don't show up as ghouls? Like after that fades, do some people pop back into existence? Or does it
Yes.
seem like pretty much everybody? Really?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what to make of that yet, but it's interesting.
It's a good question. And a very unique way of even arriving at having that question in the first place.
Yeah.
Something to write down for later.
Right? All right, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing this little foray.
Yeah. I'd say that Atherton is in a rare moment of he's busy, but he does turn to see you. He gives you a very polite nod.
I'll return the same.
And he will look in your direction and he'll sort of just hold up a finger towards his cohort. And he's looking to see if there's anything he can help you with. It's like the expression of a question. Do you intimate that you have anything, or do you just like?
I'll just do a very, non-verbal, very looking calm and casual. It's okay.
You're just sort of saying hello and not trying to get in his way, kind of thing. Like he just, and he goes back to what he was doing. But he seems to appreciate just the gesture.
Absolutely. It's nice to say hi.
Do you stay in the house or do you go back outside?
I'll head back outside, lean against the wall out there.
So you lean against
I
the
won't go
actual
far.
house. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're trying to mimic Bruno on the other side, or are you
Why
giving
not?
him some space? Okay. We're gonna jump back over to Ellie then, because I'm really looking forward to this part of it and seeing what happens. This is the first time you've probably driven yourself to Elysium.
That is true.
But you've
But
observed it. What? You were about to say something?
I was like, but I have been driven there. So
Yeah, so you know how it goes. You know that you're going to have to stop at the gate, roll down your window, and be perceived. Do you drop the facade of your outward appearance?
I at the very least keep my hood up. so they can very least see the shadow of my face. But beyond that, I don't like reveal myself more than that.
You see one of the perimeter guards looking for a moment. What's your name?
Ellie.
Looks over to one of the other ones and gives a little silent nod. New ride?
New ride.
Anything in there we need to be aware of?
I do have a handgun that I recently acquired.
All right. It stays in the car. You're going to go through the gate. You're going to stop. We're just going to inspect it. And they
You
wave
got
you
it.
through. Assuming you comply.
Comply completely.
Okay. They are brisk, but not brusque. They're not giving you any harsh directive. They do inspect the weapon itself. It's good that you mentioned it. It would be better never to bring it at all.
Understood.
In fact, you will collect it from me on your way out.
I will.
But we see nothing else in the car to be concerned about. If at any point you are curious or wish to lodge a complaint, my name is Julius.
Thank you, Julius.
Please proceed.
And Ellie drives in with their new ride.
Cora, you would see maybe not a familiar van, but one you've at least seen once before. Now, here's the question for Sam.
Okay.
How well do you think you're driving? I'm not going to make you roll. This is you giving me
I think
your idea.
I think that I think the less paved roads might be giving Ellie a little bit of difficulty. Just not as used to some of the more gravelly paths, used to more well paved roads. So it does cause like maybe a little bit of like, you know, someone else would see that there's like a little bump here. But Ellie's just like focused on controlling the car, and so you see a little like jump of the van as it hits like the obvious bump that someone else more experienced would have noticed.
What I will say
other
is
than-
that the
yeah.
roads are actually in very good condition. However, between the worn down tires
Yeah.
and old / maybe slightly non-existent shocks,
Yeah.
and it being an older vehicle, there's a certain resonance frequency it has attained through sheer vibration that it feels like its structural integrity might pop apart at any given moment. And it may be a minor miracle that you arrive and the whole thing seems fine. It quiets down. But there is a real worry that once you try to start it again, it won't. But you got assurances from Buck that it was in good condition, that he didn't sell you a lemon.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't sell you very good tires, but that's also part of your own driving.
Well, yes.
Am I able to see any of this affair of the
I would say there wouldn't be the
cartoon jalopy action?
yeah, you wouldn't be hitting like bumps or diffs because the road, I would say, is maintained despite being gravel. But you'd be seeing the ramshackly nature of the van, not quite having the greatest shocks, a little bit of a wibble wobble. And then it's not quite a pig pen style cloud that arrives with this vehicle, but it is not a graceful arrival. It's not calamitous, but it's just not suave.
Am I able to be myself when I'm outside by the house?
Mm-hmm. Once you pass by the gates, especially,
That's
you would know that when you go to the gate, as long as you're not getting out of the car and you're just showing them, hey, this is me,
yeah.
you can do that. But once you are beyond the gate, you are in Elysium proper.
Got it.
Hence why they wanted to just take the weapon away from you, just for the sake of being sure.
That makes sense. In fact, I feel like Ellie was just like, no, why would I have? Like I feel like that was a last minute thought that Ellie was like, this could be a problem. That to bring up the gun itself, because Ellie themselves is not used to just like carrying one around. Which I'm sure is not going to be a problem later on.
I think the casual forthrightness is what made them go, let's just look at the car. They can go.
Besides the bazooka, I don't think I have anything.
Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle.
So Ellie's gonna exit and see Bruno on one side and Cora on the other.
Cora will straighten up, extend a hand as you get close. Ellie.
Hi. Like how she drives?
You're smart to take my advice and get this handled sooner than later. You might want to think about the suspension while you're at it. So.
Oh, are those? I guess it's a little bumpier than it's supposed to be, even for a van like that. Hey, Bruno. So did you want to go now, or was there anything else you needed to handle here? I could go see if Lump's around if you need some time.
I have some business, but it's not towards still at the end of the night, so.
Oh, great. So do you know of a good spot to get some tires?
Not really. I'm pretty new. I will say, depending on how much you're willing to spend, you might even consider changing the size of the wheels. That can do a lot for traction and responsiveness.
So
if it can accommodate it anyway, there's always a maximum, and you don't want it to look ridiculous, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Well, we could we could see if anyone in Elysium has more experience buying stuff for cars. I could ask Lila, but she is probably just going to make fun of me.
What I'll say
So-
for you is for Cora, you might be new to the area, but you know how to shop for cars. You know how to source things because you're used to going from city to city, the places that you are not from, used to
Right.
operating in. You know what to look for. You know how to look them up. You know how to size them up digitally before you even go up to them. So you'd have a good way of figuring this out.
Let me tell you this. Is there like an internet cafe here in the house someplace? And she'll kind of look to Bruno also with that.
You also have your phone.
I know, but it's just nicer to have a big screen sometimes, especially if you're going to be working with somebody else.
Well, for Ellie, do you have your laptop with you?
Yes. The laptop is in my backpack,
Okay.
which is in the car. Oh, I got a screen available. We can I can bring it in and we can look stuff up.
Okay, great. I'll see you inside.
You are able to find one of many unoccupied parlors at the moment. It's still very early in the evening for you two. So you can, we're not going to go into all the minutia involved, but you can
No, I won't
find,
call out name brands. I'll be better about that.
depending on the year, just
Even though I
avoid
know.
firestones. I don't remember if anyone knows that reference, but there was a time when they would basically burst.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this stream is sponsored by
Not them.
Not
It's
anymore,
them and
anyway, thanks.
Fuddruckers. Those things just. So you're able to find a few places to at least go look. While vans are not your milieu, you at least. I would have said you would have looked at. There's like a sticker on most doors, especially the driver's side door, where you just open the door, you can see the tire size recommendations and the PSI and all that. So you can kind of have your set range, your ideas, and so at least you know, like, as long as I find, you know, these 3 or 4 and they're in your bracket or whatever, we can figure something out. And you're able to do that. And it's not very late at all. You might have to struggle to get them to be open, but you might be able to call, get them put away, and then pick them up immediately, or have someone pick them up.
That makes sense.
So you can make those calls.
I would also like to just give Cora an idea on what Ellie looks like when they're typing on the laptop, because they do have like elongated fingers, and so it's like almost the palms are like a little too far from the keyboard, and the fingers are kind of moving on their own without the palms
Wild.
really moving that much.
How Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, really. And like Ellie's able to, like, as you're instructing them, Ellie's able to look at you while typing without like any kind of interruption in that frame.
I imagine
like-
they're very hotkey centric as well.
Yes.
No using the trackpad or mouse, it's just very hotkey tabbing out everything.
Yeah.
It's a different thing to like comment on something that somebody is doing when it's based off of like one of their physical properties of their being. But the idea enters Cora's head, though she won't speak it aloud. It's like, wow, you're like made for this.
It's one of those Darwinistic traits. Wasn't intended, but it's working out. Okay. While you're doing this, and Cora, you're able to find Ellie tires. You're trying to find anything else specific for the car?
Oh, for mine?
For either of you. Is this, you're just working on Ellie's car, trying to give them ideas?
I think at this point, yeah, I'm just
Okay.
focused on Ellie.
So what I'm going to have you do then, Cora, I'm going to have you roll intelligence and drive.
Cool. Now, how smart am I?
You tell me.
Depending on some of the things I've done in our prelude, I think that's debatable.
Intelligence is not wisdom.
No, but my drive
I
is
know
gonna
not
be
to
doing a
touch
lot
the
of heavy
hot
lifting,
element.
which I'll say that. Okay, I have the correct number of dice.
Okay. I don't know why, but I'm just so entranced whenever I see her rolling this
Yeah.
grouping of dice one at a time.
Well, so they're really big,
Mhm.
and I don't have a lot of space, so. Looks like this is another 2 successes situation.
Okay.
I did have one get canceled out, sadly.
Okay.
So, but it's still 2
Mhm.
as the total.
I would have said there would have been a moment either before you went into the house or having to go back out to the car to really sit down and look either at the engine or anything else without having to like actually get under it. You have to go back to Titus, I think, for that. But you took away some ideas of how you would improve it. Whether or not they are feasible are two separate things.
Of course.
Some of them are basically like what you said about the shocks. Shocks can be a little hard for an older van because sometimes you have to take real shocks off of something else and cut them down. And if you really wanted to turn this thing into a bit of a beast, you could entirely replace the engine.
I think Cora, as they're like in a conversation about some of the more practical things, she spouts that off as just like an errant thought and then pauses for a minute, like, and then kind of continues with what she was saying.
To put that into perspective,
That is more practical.
it's practical but expensive is really what the impractical part of it is. That's something that's like a $5,000 to $10,000 job in a lot of cases, because it's not just getting the engine, it's the labor and the equipment to lift this half-ton object out and then slot a new one in and somehow make it work with what's there. But you do see stories and videos of cars like that looks like this kind of van, or they swapped it out with an engine from a Viper. The kind of thing that has enough torque to tow the factory the engine was built in. That kind of thing.
Is the paint job on this thing doing okay? Because your cost estimate reminded me that like a real good respray is gonna similarly run quite a lot. You could always do a wrap, but of course, if you have the money, going
Wraps.
a little more extravagant is
The
nicer.
wallpaper of cars.
Exactly. You could, so Cora like even sort of like like saying, like uttering that, like makes her kind of like, "Ugh."
I know I said it, but I don't like it. So you're able to come up with a few options. Some of them more lofty than others. Some of them are more immediately attainable and practical. They're still going to be an effort, but they're not laughable. They're things that you could basically do in the next couple of weeks. More the issue is getting a space to do the work or having someone do it, but you get the impression you would know to talk to Lila for that. Considering how much work she's done on her car, she obviously has to be doing it somewhere.
Yeah. And I imagine it's not like where we park everything because of noise, or it's somewhere that's well hidden and relatively noise proof if you're working
Just
on
over
a
at Jiffy
car like
Lube.
that. Yep. uh
She'd go there just for the name alone.
yeah, really.
She would.
She's such a cretin.
She'll just be like, I'm going to the lube. Don't say that.
Soon she'll be able to take Bone Racer to Jiffy Lube.
God. I just imagine the way she's sitting gleefully with the license plate is incredibly suggestive as she's cleaning it before she puts it on her car,
Oh my god.
making full eye contact with the viewer. Because she's a gremlin. Gotta establish dominance. Don't gotta be a venture to do that.
Ellie's kind of like nodding at
Mhm.
all the suggestions. He goes, okay, got it. New suspension. Mm-hmm. Yep. New paint job. Yep. Okay. Great. New engine. Got it. Okay.
Oh, and a point of practicality.
Yeah.
All of this, you don't want to be caught with the sun up. I can tell you where you can get some custom shades ordered, so you can put them up in case of an emergency.
Ah. Also good. Did I check if this thing has a sunroof?
I would say even if it did, it didn't work.
Yeah. Great.
One thing I should give you specifically, Ellie, is Nosferatu and Gangrel are probably the ones that are most used to roughing it. And you've
Yeah.
heard your sire talk about using body bags
Hmm.
because they block everything out. They're not ideal. And he once told you about sleeping in one in the trunk of a car.
And I am very used to those for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm. So the
And,
idea might even occur to you naturally.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I do have my own thoughts on that as well.
It's always good
What'd
to
you
be
do?
extra sure. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So she asked, what would you do?
Oh, what would you? Oh. looks looks to see if like Bruno's actually listening.
I imagine you're either at the parlor or at the van itself. So you're out of
Yeah.
earshot.
Oh, body bags.
Huh. It's not a bad idea.
They block pretty much everything out.
Could be a little suspicious if somebody came by the vehicle during the day to make sure you move them with you, probably.
Oh, right. I guess that worked better in another life. Well, I guess we could have those be a backup then.
What do you mean worked better in another life?
Oh, well, my previous job used to be as a mortuary assistant.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're walking around undead. It's there's some kind of irony to it or something.
Oh yeah, I've gone through that irony many times myself. Um, Good news, it's easier for me in a sense to understand what happened to some people.
What
But
do you mean?
well, I'm gonna I my boss's job was mostly, as you're probably aware, finding out how people left this world. So it was a little bit of I was pretty good at the I was pretty good at just being able to identify how most people died and what the cause of death was. Not sure how that translates to well, our kind.
No, me neither.
Hmm.
It's an intriguing thing, though, to
Mm-hmm.
know how to do.
What did you used to do in your previous job?
I was a driver. Go figure.
Well, makes sense. You're very good at it.
Thank you. You're coming along yourself.
Ah, thanks. Uh, definitely, need to get a little better at it. I'm. Are you still looking for a spot? I know you were going to you were still said you were still at the cottage.
I'm still there for now, yeah.
Oh. I mean, if you need assistance looking at places or need anyone kicked out of a spot you would like to go to, just let me know.
Oh, that last bit.
That
What
was
would that
half a
even
joke.
consist of? Okay.
That was half a joke. Also, it depends on how expensive you want the place. But also, I can probably. It's not important. The important thing is that I owe you one with the driving lesson. And I could pay you, which if that's what you want, I can do. But I can also help you out.
I appreciate it. I think I have a couple of leads, but if it falls through, it could be handy to maybe do some of this research the other way. So, thank you.
Yeah. So shall we get moving? As much as I can in my tin can.
Sure, yeah, we may as well. Hopefully it doesn't fall apart on us as we go. Oh, that's right. Maybe I'll follow.
Oh, yes. Are
At
you
that
so-
moment,
okay.
you do get a text. Cora.
Okay.
It's from Grace. Meet Lewis at the house. 2 hours.
Absolutely. And that's it. Okay, we have a little time, but I should probably plan for hour and a half maximum.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing work's calling.
Indeed.
Well, let's get going then while we have a time limit. One more
And,
question. Sorry. Bone Racer?
It's I won the car from Jimmy, so it's his sense of humor,
Ah,
or maybe he like genuinely liked it.
yeah. It's it is certainly, well, I know a couple people who would really like that.
Lila's a fan anyway.
Yep, that was person number 1.
I like to imagine that the camera just finds her somewhere and just my ears burning.
But since I have a definite timeline now, I think maybe I can risk just riding along.
Oh, okay. Sure thing. Maybe with both of us in there, it'll definitely make the trip.
Exactly.
Roll for initiative. No. I assume you head out. Okay. Well, I think this unfortunately is going to be where we end, because if we get into the next batch of things we're going to do, we're going to be here for another hour. Because I have more plans to slide the bulk of you together. And I
I could
want,
play for another hour.
unfortunately, I don't think the weather's going to comply with me. I'm so sorry.
Boo, weather.
We will.
Whether,
It's starting to pick up. It's getting bad again.
oh no.
So, but what we will do is your van, such as it is going to peel out from Wormslow as 2 cars, not at the same time, pull in, but stagger just enough that Kate, you get there first. And as you're walking towards the front door, or Bruno, depending on your priority in life, he sort of seems to be a lightning rod of attention. Artem, in a car you're at least aware of now, pulls up a few minutes.
I did ride in it the evening before.
Mm-hmm. Do you stop and wait for him? Or do you ignore him?
I'll wait. I'll wait for Chris.
I see how it is.
You get out. Chris doesn't come running to you, but she does jokingly walk a couple of half steps ahead of Artem, just getting a little further at pace.
Siffin, yeah.
Is he extra grumpy today?
No. No. But as she looks over her shoulder, she does see Cora's car. Oh shit, is she here?
I don't know. I just got here.
And she just sort of waves to Bruno as she walks in.
I'll put in the group chat and ask Cora if she's there.
We're like probably still on the long road out at this point. It's like
I would have said you accidentally passed each other without realizing it.
Mhm.
like
Yeah, it is that Umbrella Academy meme.
Literally just leaving. Back soonish.
But does Artem and Kate have anything to say to each other? Or is it only because of Chris? She's the social glue? Is that what we're taking away from here?
Oh, she's the social glue.
Mhm.
Evening, Artem.
Evening.
Did you two do anything fun tonight?
She did.
What'd you do, Chris?
She's already in the house.
Oh, right.
Hard to keep up with that one. Bruno.
Are you just
Well-
coalescing around the door, or are you actually going in
No,
at some
I'm
point?
We'll go in. Yeah.
So
I've got
I
a bag.
imagine Bruno, he's not getting impatient, but if Cora were to do a check on him now, there's a certain anxiety that's starting to flow into that woven tapestry of aura colors. It's anxiety and impatience of, clear the runway.
Yeah, everybody's hanging out near the door tonight for some reason.
Most people have the good sense to either go through the door or not bother clogging it. They go in, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people are there yet. Or I actually no, never mind. This is a little bit later in the evening. There are more cars that have arrived. You don't recognize really any of them in particular. You do see Artem in particular. You would actually recognize a pickup truck. You recognize a more modern black pickup truck, the one that Alden drives. I don't. Oh no, actually, Kate, I think you'd recognize the older truck as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd know that both the prince and the seneschal are here, among a scattering of other cars that you're unsure of, but the
Would
parking
I
lot.
have needed to declare my gun on the way in?
If you were smart, you would have done so. If you're not necessarily checking every car. Now, do you want to roll the dice on that? Or do you want to
No,
tell?
if I would have known it was like standard procedure upon entering an Elysium.
You would know not to bring weapons to Elysium. You, of all people, would know that specifically.
But I did just come from work.
Hmm. So would you have stopped at home to drop it off?
Yeah, I would have had to
Okay.
pass by.
Okay. You in particular have spent more time at court than anyone. You definitely know that rule.
I'm gonna swap from the boots to the heels in the back of my car
Okay.
before entering Elysium.
Okay. It is not the quietude that Cora had walked in on. It's not the more raucous affair that you all walked in on the first night, but it is not pin drop quiet either. It's not a flurry of activity. It's more just pockets of conversations. There's no event. It's just the usual flow and expectation of people flit in and out of Elysium on any given night. Sometimes more busy than others. But nothing in particular seems to be of concern. There's no underlying current of news. More just people talking, maybe doing a bit of horse trading. You hear little pockets of laughter here and there, people who are maybe just being social rather than playing a specific game. But sometimes that's part of it.
I'd like to keep an eye out for any other venture I've been introduced to.
Okay. Artem, as you're walking in, what are you thinking of?
So Artem was kind of looking for an internet cafe as well. So there's that. Also, maybe on the lookout for some of the people that he met doing hurricane relief stuff, like if Limehouse is around. You might talk to
Okay.
him.
You'd have to go hunting around, probably.
Mhm.
As for the internet cafe thing, I would say that's not really a thing that they do.
Mhm.
Part of it's a security issue, and part of it is another thing of they don't provide free Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
So you will be a little bit out of luck on that, but you might be able to go and talk to someone. Maybe when Ellie comes back, or you can see if Lila is around. You would know firsthand that she has some sort of battle station installed somewhere in Elysium doing what she does.
Yeah. Okay.
But
It'll go
knowing
out.
that you both have walked in looking for someone, or someone's, or at least a goal in mind, we're going to leave on that note. We'll pick up next week where I hope we have a full house, both in stream and in Wormslow proper. Before we go away, however, we're just going to go around the table, and we're going to start with Kate for your final thoughts. This is only halfway through the evening, but
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I guess just in anticipation of what she can make of court this evening. She hasn't been really gotten to come to Elysium outside of like Elysium outside of like formal introductions yet. So a chance to get to mingle a little more now that she's met a few more people.
now that she has started to establish herself with the clan and meeting a few expectations at least,
Mm-hmm.
different than it was just a few days ago. So it's starting to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any little other thoughts you'd like to share before I move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go with Artem.
Always interesting to learn more about Zoya, and he's kind of wondering if there's anyone else that he could ask for information like that. Though, there may not be. Might be kind of a gangrel secret.
Hmm.
So he's going to be probably careful about who he even says her name to, but at the same time, he did mention that he was her child when he came in, so there are definitely some who know.
Part of the transaction of existing in the Camarilla to be allowed free passage into a city is giving up a certain amount of information. It's your only real social passport. Certain things will be known about you by everyone, especially when you are this young and this new. Welcome to the, well, rougher parts of the gerontocracy. Any other thoughts before I move on? Cora.
Cora just continues to have fun and interesting nights so far. It's nice. Her curiosity continues to bear a little bit of fruit, which is nice. She was enjoying exploring some of her abilities earlier exploring Wormslow. And being able to connect with Ellie a bit more beyond our first driving lesson was actually quite pleasant. Even though we're still using as the van as the way by which we're establishing this rapport.
The
It's been
vehicle
nice.
by which your story arrives.
It was neat that she got to see into a little bit of Ellie's background as a result of their talking. So
Nice.
that's it.
Ellie.
For the first time in a while, Ellie has a project to focus on, and the focus is this van, and it's given a little more life to them, because they're now able to put energy somewhere, whereas it didn't feel like there was anywhere for that kind of energy and even like emotion in some ways to go. And being able to part of the reason why having their old life come up to them was the learning from someone who is like a master of their craft, and just getting into that knowledge sponge mode of just trying to glean as much as they can from someone who knows a lot and who is the first person who's outside of their own clan that they've actually been able to form any type of relationship with.
Wow. Don't you feel bad now for putting a tracker on them?
I still got a job.
Well, we'll see if there's any repercussions for that line of decision. But we'll have to start looking into that next week. Tune in tomorrow night for our, I believe, episode 3 of Age of Innovation. And then we return on the start of our finale of Age of Myth on Tuesday. And then back on Wednesday with more Savannah by Night. Thanks for tuning in, folks.